What could possibly lead to the devastation of an entire city, the loss of innocent lives, and the disruption of an already fragile peace? The answer lies in the heart of Rafah, a city in the Gaza Strip that has recently been the epicenter of a series of Israeli airstrikes. On a day that started like any other, the calm was shattered by the deafening roar of fighter jets overhead. Fire and smoke became the horrid palette of the day as explosions reverberated through the city. Reports from the Associated Press captured these chilling scenes from southern Israel, painting a picture of a city under siege. Over a weekend of violence, more than 40 people lost their lives. Palestinian militants retaliated by launching rockets towards Jerusalem, escalating the conflict in this volatile region. Children, the most vulnerable of us all, were not spared from the violence, a stark reminder of the human cost of this conflict. The airstrikes led to power shortages and water contamination in Gaza, exacerbating the already dire living conditions. 2 homes in Gaza were flattened by these airstrikes, extinguishing the lives of over 90 Palestinians. Among them were members of an extended family. Their lives abruptly ended in this devastating conflict. The United Nations chief expressed concern about the safety of civilians and the hindrance of humanitarian aid distribution due to Israel's offensive. In the wake of the devastation, the city of Rafah, once bustling with life, now lies in ruins. The once vibrant streets are now littered with the remnants of life before the airstrikes. Buildings, once a symbol of resilience and strength, have been reduced to rubble, a chilling testament to the destructive power of warfare. Families, their faces etched with disbelief, sift through the debris of what was once their homes, their hands clutching tightly onto fragments of their shattered lives. The air is thick with dust and despair, the echoes of the blasts still lingering in the ruins. Emergency services are stretched to their limits, their resources dwindling as they scramble to rescue trapped civilians. The wailing of sirens is a constant, a grim soundtrack to the city's struggle to survive. Paramedics, their faces masked with determination and exhaustion, work tirelessly to provide medical aid to the injured, their hands moving swiftly in a desperate bid to stem the tide of casualties. The grief is palpable, a heavy weight that hangs in the air. Parents mourn the loss of their children, their cries piercing the somber silence. Children, too young to comprehend the magnitude of their loss, cling onto the familiar fragments of their shattered lives. The city mourns its loss, the air heavy with grief and despair. The devastation is not just physical but emotional as well. The people of Rafah have not only lost their homes, but the sense of security and normalcy that was once their reality. As the city grapples with the aftermath, the human cost of this conflict becomes painfully clear. Meanwhile, the geopolitical chessboard shifted as the leader of Islamic Jihad met with Iranian officials in Tehran, a move that underscored Iran's support for the Palestinian resistance. This meeting added another layer of complexity to the conflict, highlighting the international dimensions of this regional issue. Amidst the escalating violence, efforts were made to restore a ceasefire. Egyptian mediators entered the fray, seeking to negotiate a return to peace. However, their work was cut out for them as Israeli military arrested hundreds of alleged militants, transferring some to Israel for interrogation. This has led to significant displacement in Gaza and reports of mass roundups of Palestinian men. In a phone conversation that would have far-reaching implications, US President Joe Biden spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Notably, Biden refrained from requesting a ceasefire, a decision that was met with a mixture of surprise and concern on the global stage. In summary, the recent Israeli airstrikes on Rafah have resulted in a tragic loss of life and a significant escalation of tensions in the region. The meeting between the leader of Islamic Jihad and Iranian officials has highlighted the international stakes involved, while the US president's decision not to request a ceasefire has raised questions about the future course of this conflict. The implications of these events are far-reaching, affecting not only the people of Rafah but the balance of power in the Middle East. As the world watches, the question remains: can a lasting peace be achieved, or is this region destined for an endless cycle of violence and retribution? Only time will tell. In the wake of destruction, a humanitarian crisis unfolds. The streets of Rafah, once bustling with energy, now lie silent and desolate. The Israeli airstrikes have left a community shattered, homes destroyed and families displaced. With the lack of basic necessities like food, water, and medical supplies, the people of Rafah are struggling to survive. The fragile healthcare system, already strained by the ongoing pandemic, now faces an overwhelming surge of injured and traumatized civilians. As we delve deeper into this crisis, we see the valiant efforts of international aid organizations trying to reach the affected people. Despite the ongoing conflict and logistical challenges, they strive to deliver essential aid to the region. From the Red Cross and Red Crescent societies to UNICEF and Doctors Without Borders, these organizations are working tirelessly to alleviate the suffering of the people of Rafah. However, despite their best efforts, it's clear that the need is far greater than the available resources. Amidst the rubble and ruin, we see the faces of fear and uncertainty. Mothers clutching their children, elders looking lost, and young people standing in the ruins of what was once their home. Their eyes speak volumes about the uncertainty of their future. Questions abound. Will they ever return to their homes? When will they have their next meal? Will the world turn a blind eye to their plight, or will there be a collective effort to rebuild their shattered lives? As the world watches, the people of Rafah face an uncertain future. Their resilience is admirable, but their suffering is heartrending. As we move from the geopolitical chessboard to the ground realities of war, it's clear that the true cost of this conflict is borne by the innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. The question now is, will the world step up to address this humanitarian crisis, or will the people of Rafah continue to suffer in silence?